Welcome to the Thoughtful Leader podcast. My name is Ben Brearley. I'm a leadership coach and the founder of Thoughtful Leader. The Thoughtful Leader podcast is all about short, sharp leadership advice because thoughtful leadership is good leadership. Welcome to episode 235 of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. In this episode, I'm going to look at some actions that may make you seem like a callous and uncaring leader. Now, I'm not suggesting that you are a bad leader or a malicious leader with evil intent. Even thoughtful leaders can fall into these traps, so I'm going to highlight some of the actions I see that are commonly perceived as uncaring and could put your reputation at risk. Let's get into the episode right now. Nobody really sets out to be an uncaring leader, but they do exist in many workplaces. Now, there's a lot of sources out there that suggest that people often leave jobs because of a dysfunctional workplace culture or poor management, and I'll leave a link to one of those in the show notes page, which incidentally will be thoughtfulleader.com/235 for this episode. Now, you've also probably seen or heard the quote, "People don't leave jobs, they leave their bosses." Now, part of this, in my experience, is that many leaders don't really seem to show respect or appreciation for their people. In some cases, there is still a command and control style of leadership which forms the default management approach, and this in turn leads to a lack of autonomy and a slump in motivation. Now, the only difference is that nowadays, it's making a really big difference. Before, people used to seem to put up with this a lot more, and now they're quitting in droves looking for better opportunities elsewhere. So a callous, uncaring leader will often alienate people and destroy trust. But here's the catch. I don't think it's always intentional. So for me, an uncaring leader is someone who shows a lack of interest in their people, someone who displays significant self-interest, looking out for themselves rather than the people who work for them. An uncaring leader might also appear aloof, detached, or simply uninterested in getting to know their people or hearing about what they think or feel. And why does this matter? It matters because if you work for someone who you think doesn't care about you, you're unlikely to go over and above for that person. If anything, you're likely to put in the bare minimum of effort just to get by, or what is commonly known these days as quiet quitting. In short, you're unlikely to see much commitment from people who don't think you care about them. So unfortunately, when it comes to looking like an uncaring leader, perception is reality. You might consider yourself to be a supportive leader, but if other people don't think so, then you're out of luck. But we don't usually intentionally go out of our way to look like we don't care. It can just happen if we aren't careful. So here are some of the most common innocent actions I see leaders take that can make them seem like they really don't care about the people who work for them. And the first one is quite a basic one, but we are all susceptible to it. It is checking that phone. Technology has changed the game at work. It has given us the potential to be more productive and effective. It's also increased the likelihood that we'll be distracted and interrupted during the workday. Now, I've started with the phone because that's the most common device everyone has, but you can also add the laptop, tablet, and smartwatch to that list. It's all the same when it comes to distractions. Nothing says you don't care quite so much as looking at your phone when you're supposed to be engaging in a conversation, or rather, it says, what is on my device is more important or interesting than what you are saying. So what should you do about it? Well, it's simple. You either turn it off, put it face down, or mute the notifications. In most cases, you won't miss anything too important, and if you're a manager that needs to be always contactable, well, that could be another issue that you need to deal with. And there's a related article I urge you to check out about the cult of busyness and how leaders can kill it. That one's all about how workplaces are often about being busy than actually being effective. The second uncaring leadership action is bumping your one-to-one meetings. Can we please move our meeting to next week? I've had something come up. Now, the number of times I've noticed managers bumping or putting off their one-to-one catch-ups with their people is staggering. Now, you might say, well, they don't mind, but do you really think they'd tell you if they were upset about it? Probably not. And it's worth remembering that one-to-one meetings are a golden opportunity to find out what's going on for your people. Without them, you might be flying blind. You might say to me, well, I see my people in lots of other meetings. Okay, but do you see them in a forum where you can speak to them individually about their feelings, concerns, aspirations, and challenges? Or are you always just talking about progress reports? I worked in a busy consultancy years ago where my manager would often reschedule my one-to-one meetings, and I wasn't the only one. It left myself and many of my colleagues with a bitter taste in our mouths. And in that environment, I was actually only meeting my manager for one-to-one meetings once every month, which is really only about 12 times a year. And so when you reschedule them, you miss out and you don't talk to that person for 2 months in a sort of intimate communication forum. So if you're not getting enough out of your one-to-one meetings with your team and therefore are tempted to cancel them, you can listen to some of my tips for improving them in the podcast episode number 130 about how to make your one-to-one meetings better. I'll whack that in the show notes page, thoughtfleader.com/235. Now, another uncaring leadership action I see is not taking on board team member feedback. Sometimes leaders will ask for feedback and input from their team members, and this is a good thing and can help people feel more valued and that they're helping to shape how the team and organisation functions. Of course, we can't always take on the suggestions of our team members. They might cost too much money, involve too much time and effort, or simply be unworkable for other reasons. But when you consistently fail to make improvements based on team feedback, you are potentially sending a message that the feedback is not valued or appreciated. At the very least, a response including some clear and valid reasons why the feedback can't be adopted is the bare minimum to ensure that team members at least feel like their voices have been heard. Another uncaring leadership action I see in the workplace is leaders who delegate mostly unpleasant tasks. And I'd say that most leaders know that they should delegate. But in my experience, it seems as if many leaders mainly see delegation as a way to get work off their plate and onto somebody else's, that is, to free up their own time. And while of course time management is one side benefit of delegation, it should not be the primary focus, because another important benefit of delegation is to develop and upskill your team members. Now, this might be through delegation of improvement projects or of higher level tasks that help them understand more about management and leadership. These type of tasks can be interesting, challenging, and possibly quite engaging. So when you instead choose to delegate boring or unpleasant tasks, you run the risk of seeming like you have no interest in the development or motivation of your team members. Instead, you look like your primary focus is to reduce your workload. And is that the perception you want to give people? And if you think you could use some help delegating, check out the article, Why Leaders Don't Delegate and How to Do It More. I'll put that on the show notes page as well. And while you're at it, if you think I can help you with a leadership challenge or achieving a goal of yours, you can apply for a complimentary coaching session with me to see if we can work on some of those challenges or achieve those goals together. I can't coach everyone who applies, but if you don't apply, we'll never know. So you can find that on the show notes page, thoughtfleader.com/235. And the last uncaring leadership action I noticed today is being constantly unavailable. Now, to round out this top 5, I'm going with being unavailable as a very common, innocent, uncaring action. Many leaders are stuck in back-to-back meetings for long periods, having little time to engage with their people or even do the actual work they need to do. And unfortunately, the issue is that you appear to be constantly unavailable. And while you might say, but my job is very busy, it's still something that can make you appear to be an uncaring leader when you're simply not around to support your team. Now, the key to this is to be able to safeguard your calendar. Pre-booking slots where you can do your own work or make yourself available is a useful strategy. To sustain this, you'll also need to be able to push back and say no from time to time. Now, one of my very busy former colleagues used to book out what she called team time in her calendar, where she'd make herself available each week. And this meant she always had a spot available even if she was in meetings for the rest of that time. So you can say you're too busy, but instead, I think it's time to take accountability and commit to spending quality time with your team. And there's a related article which is quite good. If you struggle with saying no, the article is 5 ways to say no without getting fired. So check that one out too. Now, uncaring leaders, in my view, aren't born that way. They're often created by stressful and busy work environments full of distractions and interruptions that take away your focus. So don't let yourself appear like an uncaring leader, because if you're reading this, you're probably not really one, but you may be giving that impression by taking some of these innocent, uncaring leadership actions. And I'm interested in your feedback on this one. What are some other actions that make you seem like you don't care? And I'm interested in your input on this one. What are some other actions that make leaders seem as if they don't care? Let us know in the comments on the show notes page, thoughtfulleader.com/235. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Be sure to share it if you think someone could benefit from the stuff in this podcast. That would be good to help me get the word out about it. All right. Keep up the thoughtful leadership. Try to avoid some of these uncaring leadership actions, and I'll be back next week.